All right, so yeah, just the usual, man. Pepperoni, extra cheese, extra sauce. Make sure that crust is well cooked, man. Yeah, and no anchovies. I mean it, no anchovies. You put anchovies in this thing, and you're in a lot of trouble. You got me? All right. Oh, I gotta go. Hey, and the clock is ticking, dude. Let's start the show. My very first encounter with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was Headbanger's Ball. Yeah, that was back when MTV actually played music videos. Kind of missed those days. Anyways, my friend and I were watching Headbanger's Ball, and there was a video by Anthrax called Antisocial. And during the video, there was a close-up of the main guitarist as he's shredding away. And the guitar had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles printed on it. So, you know, I kind of lock in, I look at it, and I'm like, go to my friend Jeremy, I'm like, what is that, man? He almost instantly gets up, goes to his comic book collection, and pulls out a few issues of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Needless to say, it was kind of shocking, and it was beautiful at the same time. It was the very first time I read a black and white comic book. It was also the very first time I read a very violent comic book. See, the Ninja Turtles back then wasn't all, you know, slapstick comedy. It was actually a pretty dramatic series. It had a lot of, it had some gore in it. It had a lot of violence. People were getting stabbed or shot. I mean, it was still a fun read though, nonetheless. It really, you know, I bought a few issues myself, and it was just a really, really fun read. It was a really good book. Now, I would say almost a year later, I'm at my friend Eric's house, and his big brother just kind of runs into the living room, you know, while we were watching TV, and he quickly changes the channel, and he's like, "You guys gotta see this." And it was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoon series, and we were all just kind of staring at it like in awe, because it was such a cool cartoon to watch.
Hey, come on, I'm starving, guys.
Don't you guys think about anything but pizza?
Not unless we have to.
Now, the cartoon was nowhere near as violent as the comic books. In fact, they changed a few things around. For instance, the foot soldiers were now robots. So now the Ninja Turtles can use all their weapons on them and don't have to worry about parents going, "What the fuck is going on?"
Let's rock!
Show him some moves, Donatello!
It was also the very first time I fell in love with a cartoon character. Yeah, April O'Neil. Still smoking hot.
April sure was mad.
Oh well, you know women.
No, we don't. She's the first one we ever met.
My friend Eric was a subscriber to Nintendo Power magazine. So he had all the original issues. And before that, he was a member of the Nintendo Fun Club. And anyway, one of the issues of Nintendo Power had a preview for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on NES. Needless to say, we were stoked. We could not wait to get our hands on this game. And later on that year, my friend Eric got it for his NES, and we played that game nonstop. I would go to his house every weekend, and we would try to beat the first level, which we found to be pretty easy. Then we went to the water stage, which took a while, but once we knew where all the bombs were, it was cake. The third level, on the other hand, it was all sandbox. And even though my friend had the Nintendo Power issue where it had like the walkthrough on it, we still couldn't beat that level. Eventually we ended up getting to the end, but it's just, it's not a very easy game to play at all. And even though a lot of the enemies don't look like anything we've seen in the cartoons or even in the comic books, we didn't care. We just wanted to play the Ninja Turtles, and we did, and we really, really enjoyed it. It was a fun game, and it's still a classic in my book. During our weekend gaming binge, we had a mutual friend come through, and he told us about this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle arcade game, and it had all the characters from the cartoon. It looked like the cartoon, and it even had 4 players. So we got up, we looked for whatever change we could find all around his house, took our BMX bikes all the way down to 7-Eleven, and lo and behold, there was this beautiful Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4-player arcade cabinet. Our jaws dropped, we were salivating, our eyes were bugging out, they looked like they were gonna fall out of our heads. We were just in awe. So we walked up, we put in our quarter in, and we noticed that 1 quarter equaled 1 life. Yeah. It usually takes me 50 credits to beat Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade. So basically it would cost the average gamer or person like me $12.50 to beat this game. So yeah, 1 quarter is not going to do it. The guys at 7-Eleven were obviously dicks. Now, obviously, kids like us are not gonna have $12.50 to go dump into an arcade like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, you know, we had to go home and keep playing this. And then we started to notice all the enemies and the difficulty, and we were just like, it's just not the same anymore, because now we've been spoiled. We've seen this awesome experience in the arcade, and then we had to come home to this. Ugh. Thankfully, Ultra Games and Konami got together and ported Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, to the NES. Still wasn't the same, but it had 2 players and it had a code to give you at least 10 lives and 10 continues. So it wasn't a total loss. We still had fun with it, but we noticed there was a lot of product placement for Pizza Hut all over the game. Then I noticed that there was a commercial for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming out of our shell tour. That's right, these guys were releasing an album. I ended up picking it up, and I listened to it till my Walkman ate the tape, because there wasn't a CD at the time. I think tapes were still the main media. Wasn't the greatest moment of my life, but I'll tell you what, Cowabunga was really fun to listen to.
Man, you got to think the groove is sound. Listen to the tracks we're laying down. The turtles are coming up from the ground. We got a message that we have found.
Now, Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project, was kind of under my radar, because at the time I was really looking into getting a Sega Genesis or a Super Nintendo. And eventually that Christmas, my father got me a Super Nintendo and a copy of UN Squadron. And I was going back and forth to our local video store and renting all kinds of Super Nintendo games. And I did rent Turtles in Time, not knowing that this thing was an arcade before. And I'll tell you what, it was pretty close now that I look at it. It was really close to the arcade, and it's very, very fun to play. However, I do like the arcade more. Why? Because of its speed. It was a lot more fun when you had the 4 players also that you don't get on Super Nintendo. Now, I know what you guys are saying, and the fanboys are probably gonna be like, dude, it's a Super Nintendo. They didn't have the multi-tap at the time. You're right, they didn't. You know, and I'm not knocking the game. I really do like it on the Super Nintendo. However, I did find a really good version on the Sega Genesis. What, you don't see the label? Oh, what the I was like, shit. Looks a lot better now, doesn't it? Yeah. That's sexy. This wasn't exactly Turtles in Time for the arcade or for the Super Nintendo. This was kind of its own entity. They took specific levels from the arcade and ported it over to the Sega Genesis. And it gave you extra, it was pretty much like extra content. You had different enemies at the same time. It was almost a new experience, but with the same fighting style of Turtles in Time. Now, a few years after Turtles in Time came out on the Super Nintendo, I remember walking into this Walden bookstore and reading an issue of GamePro magazine. And inside was a preview for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. Yeah. And I figured, yeah, I mean, Street Fighter 2 is already burning up in the arcades. There was a bunch of like fighting clones by Neo Geo. Mortal Kombat was out. So I figured, yeah, that sounds about right. I figured they were gonna do that. And you know, I ended up picking it up on Super Nintendo. And you know what? It's really not that bad of a game. Some of the characters are a little bit overpowered, but it's really fun to play with 2 players. And then if you can unlock the Rat King and Karai, it was kind of a game changer, and it was kind of a letdown because those characters were extremely overpowered and they had like these horrible exploits where you can just easily take out your opponent with ease. In fact, we made a rule never to play with those characters because it no longer made the game fun. All in all, Turtles Tournament Fighters, not a bad game on Super Nintendo. Just don't play it on the Genesis. Now, after the 16-bit wars ended, we didn't really see much Ninja Turtle stuff until the Xbox and PS2 and GameCube. And that's when Konami decided to go ahead and bring back its hit franchise. The only problem was it was kind of like Castlevania. It didn't really translate well from 2D to 3D. Now, this version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was based on the newer version. It was no longer based on the 80s. So it was targeted towards a younger audience, which is cool. But its camera angles and overall gameplay was what really killed it for me. The camera angles sometimes were way too zoomed in, so you didn't see all the enemies on the screen. And then there was the gameplay, which is like a whole rinse and repeat thing. It was like, beat up a couple enemies, go to the next area. Beat up a couple enemies, go to the next area. Grab a pizza, cutscene. Beat up more bad guys, go to the next area. Yeah, it gets really boring after a while. I actually turned it off after like the second level. I was falling asleep. Just didn't have that same appeal, you know? And it's kind of a letdown because I really want a good Ninja Turtle game. And you know, it followed up with 2 other ones. And the only reason to even pick up its sequels was that the original arcades were unlocked after beating a certain level or whatnot, or using a specific code. So if you do find those out in the wild, I would say go ahead and get them and then just use the codes or whatnot and just unlock the arcades and then play those. Don't play the actual campaign. I met with some people at the Xbox Lounge. Their name was, they were from Red Flag Studios, and they were presenting a new Ninja Turtle game called Out of the Shadows. And when I saw it over at Comic-Con, it looked like an old school side-scrolling beat 'em up, and it had fast action, and you had different moves now, and it seemed like it was gonna be right up my alley. And it looked like it was gonna have 4-player co-op. I was like, this is what I wanted. This is what I've been waiting for. And then I go home and buy Out of the Shadows, and I was pissed because the campaign was crap. I mean, the camera angles that I mentioned before from the Konami iterations were back. Everything was so close and tight on the turtles that I couldn't see where the enemies were coming until it's too late. And then this game tried to have that gameplay of the Batman Arkham series. Yet the counter button didn't really work all the time. See, the problem with this type of game was that you would, when you're punching and you have like a combo going on, there's no way to cancel the combo. So if somebody's gonna hit you during a mid-combo sequence, he's gonna hit you. You can't evade it. That's where they fucked up, in my opinion. I mean, if the counter button worked, then it would have been a solid title, in my opinion. It would have been great. Of course, Now, if you beat all the levels, you have to play through the whole campaign to get the 2D style beat 'em up. What it should have been in the first place, not this. We didn't want this. We wanted the 2D beat 'em up style, the Ninja Turtle thing that we grew up with. We wanted that. We didn't want no stupid ass campaign. And maybe they were trying to appeal to a younger audience. Well, even the younger audience were like, no, fuck no. Because their parents already told them, hey, check this out, you know? Their parents already put them onto this shit. So why were they gonna play that? You know? Now, the cool thing about a game like Out of the Shadows is the simple fact that a game like that can be updated. There can be updates that can be released, you know? And I think the only way to really save this game is to find a way to back this fucking camera up so we can see what's coming towards us. And if they had something like that going on, then I think the game would be a hit. I would definitely play it. And go, oh yeah, and fix that fucking counter button. What's wrong with you guys?
Out of my face, jerks!
That's my trip down memory lane for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I'll tell you what, it's been a fun ride, a bumpy one, but still fun. If you guys have a great TMNT story, please let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't, please subscribe. I got some more stuff on the way. Until next time, peace out. All right, my pizza's here, man. Yeah. What's this? Anchovies? You mother...